Glen Smith, welcome into the weeds, mate. I can't remember you being such a big unit.
No.
Like, when I knew you like before, and I thought you were fully grown, like you've grown since, like you've grown in your 30s or 40s or something.
I discovered food.
Did you?
Yeah, and lots of it.
But you're taller too.
I do a lot of work for beer companies as well.
Do you?
It's a problem. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's good though.
Freebies.
Yeah. Big shout out to Young Henrys if I can. Is that something you can do here?
Yeah, you can.
Good.
Yeah,
No, they're
we'll
lovely
just
people.
bleep it out. all the inner west breweries who are helping, like stimulate the nightlife environment and
I agree with that.
my belly fat. I don't know. It just goes like beer.
I'm working on that at the
Oh,
moment.
mate, I'm just up and in and out, up and down. Mate, you are well known in Australia to a lot of people. They wouldn't really know it because you've been a prolific artist in Australia, both a rock musician and graphic artist, educator, the whole thing. Your art's been all over the streets of Sydney, especially, and Australia.
Sure.
But people wouldn't really know you, Glen Smith.
Glen Glenno Smith.
You're a bit of an artistic mercenary and also artistic sort of subversive, aren't you?
Well, yeah, I suppose you could say that. Yeah, I'd say I've kept it secret for a while just because I need the time to draw.
Yep.
I'm not a big self-promoter. I mean, I should promote my solo show, and that's another thing. I haven't done many solo shows.
We'll do that now. What's it called? It's called Life After Chicken Salt.
Life After Chicken Salt, yeah, which is I'm not exactly sure when chicken salt became part of the Australian thing, but yeah, it's a game changer.
What would your guess be? I reckon. What do you reckon?
I always think everything started in the 70s.
Really? That early?
Yeah.
Chicken salt. I don't remember chicken salt being on the scene until like the 90s, I suppose.
Yeah, you might be right.
Yeah.
Makes everything better though.
Yeah, chicken
Not
salt.
everything, but
What is
food.
chicken? What is chicken salt?
it's just. I actually think it's vegan, so it's not chicken.
No. It's probably broccoli or something, just boiled down or something.
I hope not. I don't like
Cabbage.
broccoli.
When you find out what's in sauces, you just have to.
That's fine. I'm good. I'm good with sauces. The
Are you?
mystery of sauce. Yeah. Sorcery.
HP sauce. That's
Oh,
sorcery.
That's decaying fish.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like stuff from like the Thames, mud from the Thames that you just put on your eggs.
Yeah.
But you're a graphic artist, mate, and you've worked for some of the biggest bands. But like, how come, mate? Where did the desire to draw 10 billion things come from, mate? Like, how come it just pours out of you?
Well, being the kid at high school or public school that was told to do the disco. You're doing the disco poster. You're the kid that draws. It's nice. You're given a purpose and you go, right, okay, I'll roll with that. I think also, Mum and Dad used to just put me in the corner with a brown paper bag and some pencils, and I was off. You know, it's cheap babysitting. It was like in the 70s. That was your tablet. That was your Mario Kart or whatever. Yeah, that's what I did. That's what I've always done, and I'd be doing it. I'd be doing it even if I wasn't able to pay rent in this money pit of a town. Yeah, yeah.
So you just as a little kid, you just created your own world.
Love it. Yeah.
But like when did you sort of go, oh, I can see things in my head and that thing I can put on paper pretty well?
From the time you pick up a pen.
Really?
Yeah, little kids will start drawing something and you won't know what it is, but you'll ask them and they'll tell you straight away. There's purpose to everything. Yeah, it's the same. It's the same as kids dancing or kids talking or singing little songs to themselves. These songs have never existed. This is what people do. Yeah. Yeah.
They build these beautiful worlds, and you've really done that for a long time. Like, I met you in Orange, like in the 90s, I think, and you'd been like in bands. Your original band, Lawn Smell.
Yeah.
Yep. Like, they're well known underground Sydney
a cult band, I suppose.
Yeah, punk rock.
Yeah.
Punk rock band, but. Your art, you've worked for huge shows. You've done some rock icons in Australia like the Meanies.
Yeah,
and
Meanies.
Who else, mate? Come on, drop some names.
Oh well, I could drop my favourite bands, and they're the ones that I feel the most connected to and the most you're talking about the meanies, hard-ons, Nunchucker Superfly. Did stuff for Blood Duster, King Parrot, Dr. Colossus.
Electric Wizard.
Yeah, Electric Wizard back in the day. That was through my mates Pod People. They were a great stoner band from Canberra.
Yeah.
They continue to be this incredible linking music to cannabis. That is the centre to me of stoner doom or stoom is Canberra. Yeah, Lucifungus, another fantastic.
Lucifungus.
There's some great bands that sort of came out of this little boiling cauldron of Canberra in that time. Australia's produced some of the best left of centre music forever, and the world catches up or knows about it on the fringes.
I had this argument with someone the other day. I said Australia invented grunge.
Well, a lot of people agree with that, but then again, people
Whatever
talk
grunge is, but yeah.
and
but
then
like,
people talk about punk rock, and they go, "Oh, the first punk rocker was Elvis Presley," and you go, "Well, it wouldn't have been Elvis; it would have been Chuck Berry, wouldn't it? If you're going to go back that far and all that sort of garbage, or Little Richard or something." But
and there was some wild, but Australia did have wild rap rockers way back.
Yeah,
Johnny
but
O'Keefe and all the rest.
But on that grunge thing, that's true. They got the Scientists. We had that swampy sort of, bands like Grong Grong and Feed Time. There were bands that just were special, and I mean, tweaky special. That just existed on their own little island, and they grew up like a species on a remote island and just became amazing, which is a lot to do with Australia. Well, before the internet, there was nothing. So you were this virus that mutated into this thing that all of a sudden people were going, "What the hell is that?"
Yeah. So you see that with underground labels in Australia.
Yeah.
So someone takes a record to wherever.
Yeah, lots of risk takers and tastemakers in this country. You're talking about record labels like Red Eye and Phantom and Waterfront and
Mushroom too.
Yeah, to some extent, but the alternative scene in Australia, it was so small, but so you're talking about punk wise, Radio Birdman and the Saints and stuff like that, stuff that was real was so remote that it didn't even know that it was the first at doing things. Like the Saints, basically.
Radio Birdman. Oh my God, the man with the golden helmet. I listened to that song the other day.
Yeah.
Man with golden helmet.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
That's a fucking... and you listen to the lyrics and you go, what the fuck?
I know. I thought it was a bit... Yeah.
But
as a kid, I loved almost everything except for that song.
Really?
There's a Doorsy part of that band that puts me off only because I think the Doors are a pile of crap. Yeah,
really.
Yeah, but
I like
then again,
them.
see,
I like the Doors.
I make all the wrong moves. People like have disconnected with me because I don't like the Clash. I'm like, I don't particularly like middle class boys, professing to have all the answers in the world in their music. That annoys me. But yeah, anyway, that's just...
Well, how did you end up meeting these? Like, how did you get in the scene and how did you end up meeting these people? And
back in the day, it was just turn up to gigs. But the cool thing...
Because you grew up, you were in Canberra and then...
I was always in Orange. Yep. And then I moved to Sydney and went to art college, which was great because I got to meet my wife, which was the only great thing about art college because it was terrible. But
we'll get to that later because I've read some of your stuff.
Yeah,
really
no,
critical.
Just recently I paid off my debt, and I never wanted to because I didn't think it was something that I owed. Anyway, that's just me being pedantic and
contrarian. I understand. You're not Robinson Crusoe. A lot of people are fucking pissed off about HECS debts, man.
Yeah.
But you moved to Sydney, met some of these people, started playing. When did your band start up?
Oh, it started pretty much after I met Gina, and we both played bass, so we had a band with two bass players. There was no musical idea. Like normally, someone would go, "Oh, you do the high bits and the low bits," and no, we just made a big noise. It was very naive. we didn't have a plan. We should have had a plan. I have a plan with my new bands. Like we go, let's record, let's do this, you know. But we were just like, you know, anybody would offer us a gig and we'd go, yes.
Yep.
And so we became like one of the greatest support bands because we played with everyone.
Really?
It was great. It was great because it was.
But did you have to change it up? Did you change the mood?
No, we were just ourselves.
Go and blast whoever.
And
it
people
was?
dug it because we were like, we'd play with, you know, proper musicians with proper gear, and we just roll up there going, hey, you know, and they just go, oh, what was that all about? And we go, I don't know. They're our songs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and when did the rock posters thing really happen? Because, you know, Sydney is just blasted with your... Like, I went down to Mosh Pit and I saw down there some of your work, and it's all over, you know, everywhere.
Yeah. Well, the internet was the big game changer. I couldn't have become the freelance person that I am now because, you know, in the beginning, you had to hustle. So I'd get in the faces of people that I thought I needed to. And that worked. And then, what else? I think I'd just see bands, or I'd think I just love that band, and I'd do some artwork for a band overseas that I loved, and just send it to them. And that was as easy as that. Sometimes I love this one record by Tegan and Sarah. It's just like a beautiful record, and I went to see them, and I thought, I'll get a T-shirt. That'll annoy my heavy metal mates wearing one of those around. And their merch was crap. So I thought, I'm going to do them a shirt. And I did. I sent it away to them. And they said, how much do you want? I said, what do you usually charge? And they sent me a whole whack of money. And I went, I like this. I could do more of this. So that's what I did. And I'd say this to anybody that was...
So you just pitched to, like, you know, just went like...
Yeah.
And just like
bands. Sometimes you're the best art director. Like, I've worked for lots of different art directors, and probably half of them I respect. A lot of them were just following fashion and sort of just rehashing old ideas and stuff. But I think ultimately I'd love to be my own art director, which is... If a band came to me, I'd just go, leave it with me, guys. But it's never like that. There's always a little bit of micromanaging from, you know.
I saw one of your pictures recently, and you had the meanies strapped to the front of a four-wheel drive.
No, it was a Zamboni.
It was Zamboni.
That was the name of the single, yeah. So right. I got to draw a Zamboni, which is one of those crazy little vehicles that keep the ice nice and flat at ice hockey games.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that Link wrote that. I might be wrong, but I think that lyric was basically because it rhymes with baloney or something else. He's one of those guys that just does a little bit of stream of consciousness. He didn't set out to write a song about that vehicle, pretty sure. Could be wrong.
Okay. And so people started picking it up. And look, let's have a look at some of your work. Pete, bring some up because... I'm
drawing these incredible creatures for people, and I always I've never had someone go, that looks nothing like my dog. Luckily. But it's really one. I could do this for the rest of my life, to be honest. I could do the odd bit of rock and roll stuff. But yeah, that's the stuff I like to do.
Well, it's super amazing. And who are your influences, like as artists?
From the rock and roll point of view, it's
what were you reading and when you were a kid?
Yeah, well, comics, of course, Tintin, you know, all that sort of stuff.
But what about things like heavy metal?
Yeah, heavy metal. Yeah, Mobius. Yeah, look, you got the 2000 AD. Like 2000 AD was the game changer for me. It was like, you know, Simon Bisley, of course.
Really? You think that, yeah, I think so too. Like, that's what I had access to in Australia in the 80s.
The drawings were better than any movies that were on. Like, I could watch, I could see Mad Max movie and understand its power and potential, but there was way more dynamics in those comics. Like,
they were a real teaser too, because they had really short parts of really amazing, incredibly illustrated stories.
Yeah, that was.
And they came out every week, and you only got a bit.
Oh yeah.
So which is good because it got you hooked.
Yeah.
You were like turning up, and if the 2000 AD didn't come in down at the newsagent, I was like, I was like,
We were lucky enough to have this comic swap thing at the library, and I was probably 7 years old when I got my first Judge Dredd.
Yep.
That's it. I'm done. Yeah, that was that was it.
Yeah,
You won't put that fire out.
Brian Bolland and the Wagner and Grant and Simon Bisley too.
Really gross stuff too. Like,
Oh, I know.
It really like and then of course, once punk rock got me in heavy metal, it was like all the covers. I was buying records based on their covers.
Yeah.
Not always a good idea, but
Judge Dredd, like there were some bad movies made with Judge Dredd that totally got it wrong. And
the last one was good, I thought.
Yeah, the last one was better.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
true. But that Future, it might be on the money.
Yeah.
Remember that there was like Judge Death.
Oh yeah.
And he was just like,
Oh, I wish. Maybe there's one in my. There's a Judge Death on my Instagram.
and he did
It's
like
hard to
he
find.
just like it was just like genocides in these
Yeah.
cities.
Yeah.
This pan-dimensional judgment. Blah, death.
Talking about pan-dimensional, like I was into the idea of the occult, but things like ABC Warriors and Nemesis.
Nemesis.
See,
Yeah.
that delved into history, which is something that I was into.
Yeah.
See, art
The
history.
Inquisition. Thomas Torquemada.
Yeah. Art history wasn't really a
that's
thing for
great.
me. Like when people say, "Oh, what artists do you like?" It's generally people that are like lumped into this lowbrow, pigeonhole. Just recently, I got the new Dave Cooper book, and it's the nicest book I've ever like flicked through. I could spend 10 minutes just looking at one page. Like art can be so potent, which brings us around maybe to AI, which is technology.
But do you think AI will ever do something like Ralph Steadman? Like something like that?
Yeah, it will, but
Really?
it won't have a
Maybe it
soul.
will.
But like it'll replicate things to a fine degree. Like you'll be able to do what's happening right now. You put the prompts in, it spits out this thing, and maybe 80% of the people will go, "That's awesome," and you go, "Can't you see that was made by a machine?" Oh, was it? That's a shame. That's a shame that we've lost our ability to see the diamonds in the shit. Basically,
But maybe we'll pick up and we'll just get better at picking machines.
Oh, I think that'll be.
Like maybe that's something we'll learn how to do. To pick it up.
Yeah, maybe.
But then I think that's why podcasting's getting big, and all these people whittling, live on YouTube and all the rest, is people want to see things handmade.
This is
what you do.
This is what I'm
Which
counting.
is-
This is what I'm
and
counting
that's
on.
what live music will always be.
I think the more
That's
technology,
handmade.
it'll filter down those people that can still warrant a human response from people, because that's what it basically is. It's someone that can write a wonderfully crafted novel, draw something that means something. I mean, look, I do enough bullshit artwork for commercial use that helps me pay the rent and helps me subsidise doing cheap work for bands that I love, that these little young bands that blow me away, and I just go, "Hey, if you need a T-shirt design, hit me up. I'll do it for cheap."
But you do, you're pretty prolific. You work all day.
Yeah, but that's
eight
the
hours
reason.
a day,
That's the reason why. Like,
But your stuff's everywhere. Like you're on. I've seen your stuff on skateboards, on poles, commercials,
Yeah,
all the rest.
yeah.
One of the things you've been doing more recently is working with Reg Mombassa and doing lino cuts.
yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, so lino cuts were one of those
Reg
things.
Mombassa. Tell us who Reg
Well,
Mombassa is.
Reg originally started off as an art student just around here. He's from New Zealand originally. Came over, started a little band with his mates, and then later on his brother, called Mental as Anything, and they're an incredible band. And at the same time, his artwork was quite recognisable, sort of doing what I was doing. I mean, I remember at art college being told that that what I was doing was surfy and garbagey and stuff, and then they'd say, "Oh, did you know that Reg Mombassa went here?" So they sort of saw his stuff in the same light as my artwork, but they sort of were trying to belittle what I was doing, while at the same time saying it's like Reg's stuff, and it's like, well, don't drop his name if you think that his stuff was shit, because just because he's able to work for Mambo, which is something that I've done as well. And look, lino was a thing that you learn at high school.
But you collaborated on some of his prints.
Yeah.
And the other thing about Reg is Reg's work. I always found it a bit dark.
Oh,
yeah, it's dark, isn't it? And like
yeah.
a lot of your stuff is pretty dystopian.
Well,
like
some of the Mambo stuff back in the day.
Yeah, it was heavy.
was really full on. Like it was. I mean, right now Mambo is only sold at Big W. So, I mean, you know, there's only so much politics that you can sell at Big W, i.e. nothing. So, if you look back in the golden years of Mambo, they were turning up every 3 months with their portfolio, all the artists, going, check it out. And just, they're all cacking. They're all trying to outdo each other, all trying to make each other piss themselves laughing, you know?
Really?
That's where great art happens.
And they were all printing it. And
Yeah.
So have you got collaborators? Are you in a crew that draw? And
No, but collaboration is the key. It makes you learn. I'm not great at learning new things, but I certainly like to work within little areas that I would not normally walk down. So doing work with other artists. With Reg. So Reg would draw onto the lino. I'd carve it, and then I'd colour it, and then we'd get it made into yardage.
What's yardage?
Yardage is basically very, very long strips of fabric that you can turn into cushions and boardies, and old-fashioned screen printing is fantastic. And we're doing that here in Sydney. We're going to do that every year because it's a dying art, you know. And it's not made in China, and it's not made using chemicals that, you know, that are bad for the environment. It's all in Australia. It's great.
It's awesome. But you've been critical too, because you're an educator. You've been critical a bit of, the machine that churns people through art schools and all the rest of it.
Yeah, I just think it's the postmodern sort of malaise that took over a lot of universities in the 60s and 70s and continued, and it's probably going to be kicked against now that Trump's in that a lot of people just want to go to university and learn what they need to learn to do the best job that they can without being indoctrinated into cults. That's what it felt like at art college, and that's not even an exaggeration. Like it was weird. All I wanted to do was have amazing people show me how to be amazing with art.
And make
I thought that's what it would be like.
And make your own cult.
I mean, yeah. Well, that. Well,
because
I
want to talk about how some of your dark stuff. Like, where does that come from? You know, I saw one. Just some of the. There was one like a cat with a metal helmet that was plugged into some machine, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, it's just like a lot of it's iconic.
But do you like drawing it because of the shock value, and you just like
it's been a while since I've done the shock value thing. I used to do a lot of artwork for grindcore bands and stuff like that, where that stuff was really important, where you really wanted to gross people out. I still think it's a great way to communicate. But do you think people because I remember how in the 80s there was just so many like horror movies, and I don't know what the censor was doing, but not a great job, because I saw a lot of really heavy movies. In the 80s and the graphic art. And I think that there's been, a sense of, this censorship and all the rest. Yeah.
Like, do you think that there's a more like an interest and a growing tolerance to, like subjects that potentially can, be considered bad taste or, offensive to some groups in the name of art? Because like, I think that's what you saw in the 70s and 80s. Bad taste and offending people was pretty key to good art. Yeah. And you've done it, haven't you?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you want to up the. You go, okay, so that's where the bar is now. Okay, well, I'm going up. Yeah, of course. That was punk rock. That was the whole reason for punk rock. Everything had gone so stale, and there was no effect. There was no effect to art I mean, this is what a lot of teenagers felt, especially in that, you know, economically as well in England and even in America. And so what they did was, you know, what's going to piss my parents off? This is the drive. This is the drive that there's nothing different in the world. People say the new generation is very conservative. I don't think so. I don't think so. Maybe it's boiling underneath and it needs to be lanced.
I think younger. I think they just want more freedom, and they want more room to sort of make their own mind up about things. You know,
I like to think. I hope they do, because things are becoming, dystopian and properly what, you know, 1984 was talking about.
Mega City 1.
Yeah. I mean, we used to.
I mean, what, you know?
Yeah, we'd relish in our freedom, while thinking, you know, oh, this stuff's just fantasy. But the fantasy is becoming reality.
I know. Hey, and I saw like there's a real revival in interest in anything sort of 90s and, you know, thrash metal.
That's weird when you go into a vintage store and they go, oh, like, you know,
here's a Testament T-shirt.
Oh yeah, and you go, hang on, that's when I was a teen. Oh, I am vintage. I'm antique.
And someone, I said to someone, oh, who's going to go into those shops and buy a $400 Testament T-shirt?
I know.
And then I went, me.
We would have washed the car. We would have washed the car with it.
I was going, me. I was going, how much is that? Yeah. $445.
Yeah.
But it's good. Like, you know, there's that music. And so what about the scene now in Sydney? The music scene especially. Is it back up? Is
it's
it running?
wonderful.
Is it back alive? Is it reaching out into the burbs, man? Like
Yeah. Looking at the late 80s and early 90s was a golden period. You know, because people, you'd see someone down the street and you go, what are you doing? Or what bands are you seeing this weekend? You wouldn't say, what are you doing or whatever. It was, what bands are you seeing? And everyone would be focused on the, you know, the street press, and you'd go, oh, and then I could drop across here after I've seen that band because they're playing first. Like, there's too much going on. It was great. It was great.
I saw a poster in Mosh Pit the other day, and on that it had the lineup for a week at Selena's, and it was like the Hoodoo Gurus, the Lime Spiders.
People post
like
that people post that stuff up all the time, and you just go,
what?
Yeah, that's incredible.
That's a week.
Yeah.
I was just going to imagine you were working there. You just like have this, and there was international acts, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well,
people would come visit Australia just to go see bands here.
Yeah.
See, that's a thing that people didn't really understand.
And what's like, who's good? Like your band, you still like?
I've got a couple
Chinese
of bands.
Burns unit.
Yeah, Chinese Burns unit. We've been a bit on the quiet side, but we're gonna write another record and do some more gigging, and we've got a 7-inch coming out soon. That's the band that I got with Jay Wally, and John Irish and Johnny T. We've done some really cool stuff, but I've also got another band with my wife, which is like harkens back to the sort of naive Ramones-based, hard-ons based sort of.
The hard-ons.
Yeah, man, hard-ons are still killing it. You know,
I once tried to swap a block of hash with the hard-ons when they were selling T-shirts at a gig at the Uni Bar in Taz.
I doubt they would have taken.
They told me to fuck off.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck that shit, man.
Yeah. They're pretty clean living, those guys.
Well, they didn't look like it there.
Well, yeah, they're doing. I mean, they're still kicking, and they blow every teenage band off the stage still.
I bet
They're just incredible.
I wouldn't want to go up against the hard-ons.
No.
You're a new up and coming.
Yeah, but I got another band called Outcest. That's my newerish band, and that's all mates, and that's a more metal sort of thing. And that's super cool. We're almost finished our second record. It's great. It's great. I love being in band. Like, but there's no sort of.
Who else is killing it? Who else is?
Oh, in Sydney. There's some really great bands. Let me think. Band called Antenna, which is ex Royal Headache. Shogun's new band. They're amazing. This is bad. I should have thought about this. So many great bands.
That's all right. But like, where you know, where's where's a hot venue?
Enmore Road. Enmore Road's the go.
Is it?
Yeah, the Duke, and across the road at the Enmore Hotel. You know, Merrickville Bolo. It's all sort of concentrated in the inner city once again. You know, as I said, back in the late 80s, early 90s, it was very suburban. Like, we'd play Manly. There's still places to play around those places, but not as many. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised at how good the soundproofing is in these pubs. I don't think people realise that.
There was
like in the Duke, you can be outside and you can talk and you can go inside and
Yeah.
it's like, you know,
Yeah.
it'll rattle your teeth out.
Well, playing on that stage is tough. It actually sounds like you're underwater. I don't know why. Every time we play there, it's like, I hope it sounds good out there because it sounds like war on stage.
Yeah, it's a pretty small space, but
Yeah.
it goes off. Well, that is absolutely fantastic, mate. Look, your gig, your next one is coming up is the Life Before Chicken
Yeah,
Salt.
Life Before Chicken Salt. So
It's
that's
coming up. What's the date?
It's easy to remember. It's Valentine's night. That's the opening, and then it sort of has a bit of a half-life going into the next week, and I'll be there most of the time.
Okay.
Just follow me on Instagram.
Yeah. Bring up the Insta because we've got to look at the Gary Busey. Where is it?
Oh, yeah, that's right. You said you liked that one.
I love that one.
Yeah.
Because like you just.
Oh, there he is.
There he is. There. That one there.
Yeah.
That one there.
Yeah. There's some people that I just need to draw. That was for no reason.
That is so good,
Yeah.
man. Because that is him 100%.
Yeah.
You just when you look at his face, you don't know why. Yeah, his eyes are in the wrong spot for sure. Yeah, no, they're good. And the detailing Glenn's art is absolutely unbelievable, and the creativity and the accuracy of it, it's amazing. That's a classic. If that they're the Electric Wizard. That is a great.
So that's an oldie. That's I don't even know.
See
if
the
they use
Cannabis
it.
leaf.
Yeah. Did you see the Angry Anderson one that I did?
Yeah.
So that was interesting. We played with Rose Tattoo.
Is Angry
and the
Anderson
Hardons.
alive?
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. I want
Yeah.
him on the show.
Oh my. Well,
We have to.
yeah, you should.
And look, that's a classic there. Glenn's Silverchair Frog Stomp. That is an amazing poster.
Yeah,
there.
that's an
and the story there is an interesting one because you
Yeah.
met Daniel and
Yeah,
Silverchair
we played
with
with them when they came back from their first tour, and we played with them at Newcastle Workers Club. Screaming fans. It was really cool.
You played with Silverchair at Newcastle Workers Club.
Yeah.
Oh, mate.
That's pretty cool. And then just had chatted with them. We had to leave when they had dinner because their parents it was great. They used to have some really good rules, and they sort of kept pretty. What would you call it? I don't know. They sort of had a normal life.
Yep.
At the start.
They
Went a bit wacky later on, but so they asked me to do some artwork, and I did that. And then I didn't hear much later, and then I saw it had been rejigged by some other artist. I was like, okay.
But you were
Lesson
young.
learned.
Yeah, lesson
Yeah, well,
learned.
this is it. There's many pitfalls to being a sole trader and a freelancey type person, and that's get you half money up front and all that sort of stuff.
Get paid.
Yeah.
Make sure you get paid. Well, like you've got the Cannabis leaf and the Electric Wizard. Oh, there's some beer cans you've done. You got that Cannabis leaf in the Electric Wizard. Angry Anderson's the one you did for him.
Yeah,
that was a
yeah.
pot leaf.
So
what about weed? Do you use weed or?
Yeah, look. Back in the day, it was a good mate. It inspired. There's two ways of looking at especially when you're a young person. Weed's great fun. It's like a beer with mates. You'll cack and things like music is just more. It's just more like the music.
It's called your hedonic tone, I'm told.
Oh, okay.
It lifts your hedonic tone, just to, your capacity to enjoy things. Just a whoop.
No doubt. There's lots of things you can enjoy on a bit of hooter, but yeah.
But it can get in the way of drawing, maybe.
Well, no,
sometimes.
it can get in the way of ambition, and it can get in the way because it becomes ritualized and stuff. People call it an addiction. In a lot of ways, the habit stops you from thinking outside your little room. I find it unleashes ideas, which is good. So you in a way you're using it. It's not using you, but yeah, there's a time when you need to be sober to do things well.
Yeah.
And my drawing is at a point now, and I feel like I need to get better, and that's the other thing with my drawing. Hot and I think drugs generally. You don't want to be sort of slave to it while you're doing something that you like.
Well, not as something, especially with as technical as what you're doing, because
technical
it's
things,
physically demanding. Like, I wonder how many strokes of the pen you've had in your life.
Yeah,
mate.
I mean, look, you've got some really high functioning artists over the years that, like Jimi Hendrix to me is the greatest example of this. Like, he'd just be so high and so he'd be somewhere else. And he'd be delivering these just mesmerising riffs and lines and guitar, and you just go, oh, okay,
Yeah.
wow,
I know.
all right, fine. There's your exception to the rule, but the rule is give yourself a break
Yeah.
when you need to have a break. When someone says to you, come out or whatever, and you're like, it's not much fun. You're not much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's definitely a time and a place for it. So I've had a love and hate relationship with it. But I have nothing but hope now that you can get good stuff. And you can get it,
Well, people are much more aware now of, when you should have it, the types of cannabis, like you can have edibles. You ever had edibles?
Yeah, it's not my thing. It's too much. It's a different drug.
Yeah.
Yeah. It puts me in the green room, and I don't like that green room.
In the luge.
Yeah. I just thought I don't have any regrets, really. Even, when you, back in the day when you'd go score from strangers and you'd find yourself in strange situations. As a 16, 17, 18-year-old later on, that was great. Like, I've met some of the weirdest, coolest, strangest people in that active scoring pot. And also learnt how to just take it easy. Don't, the frustration sometimes of, dealing with some of the weirdest people in the world just to get yourself a little bit to smoke.
Oh, some of the missions, I remember.
Yeah.
You'd just like get in the car and it'd be, days later you'd come back.
Yeah.
Sometimes empty-handed.
Yeah.
But, I think that's a really legitimate point when it comes to cannabis, that cannabis can really stimulate creativity, but it can get in the way of it, and you've just got to be conscious of that, If you're becoming apathetic and you're not as productive, well, then you reset what you're doing. And if that means being sober,
there's a
then so
tolerance
be
that
it.
builds up, and there's also a there's got to be a time. There's got to be a time just to give it a rest, like most things, I think, yeah.
And you keep a weather eye on current events and what's going on, popular culture. Like, I think I remember seeing you. You met Snoop Dogg, and you presented him with.
I didn't meet
him?
No, I didn't meet him. But my flatmate at the time was interviewing him, and I quickly drew a portrait, and he signed it. And I used to do that a lot. That used to be like I'd hear about somebody that I dug, and someone was going to go, and so I'd quickly draw. I've done that a lot,
mate.
Yeah, super fun.
Great
I'm still a fan. I'm still this hopeless fan. Now, recently, I got an email from the estate of Mr. Squiggle.
What?
So they're doing a Mr. Squiggle. See, Mr. Squiggle to me as a little kid was magic.
Yeah.
And so I did many years ago. I think it might be on my Instagram.
Didn't Mr. Squiggle get cancelled? for some reason.
Oh, that would not surprise.
Probably.
Nothing surprises me now, but I don't know. I don't know.
Was it Mr. Squiggle a creep? I don't know.
No.
Was he?
No, I think you're thinking of there's everyone's a creep in real.
It was Fat Cat.
Yeah, maybe. Fat Cat. No, they're doing like a.
They're bringing Mr. Squiggle back.
They're doing a thing at the art gallery, and I think they're using the drawing that I did of Neil Armstrong getting on the moon and then sort of confronting Mr. Squiggle, who'd been there all the time. It's like, yeah, you think you're special, do you? I'm the man on the moon. Anyway, it was one of those things.
Mr. Squiggle
But
in that rocket ship. And it was all clunky. Oh, I've got to go now.
Great. It was great. So I think all of those puppets are going to be included. Gus the Snail and the Blackboard. Hurry up, all that sort of stuff.
Yes, Miss Jean.
Yeah,
that was weird, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mr. Squiggle. Why are we talking about Mr. Squiggle?
It always comes back to Mr. Squiggle.
Oh, mate. Well, I'm glad that Mr. Squiggle's back. There's a retrospective of Mr. Squiggle. That means that some of the treasures from our culture haven't been lost. What do you think about Trump? I've got to ask you about the politics. I mean, what do you think about Trump? What's going to happen in the US? Is it just going to become the Fourth Reich, or is it just going to descend into?
I don't think so.
Zombie, the hills have eyes or something like that.
I think in some parts of America, that's always been like that.
Yeah, I reckon. So.
I don't know. I just think people have become too tribal and too into their own little echo chamber. The internet did that. COVID made it worse. Everyone sort of, that was a bad time. I think the psychological result of that little experiment is going to resonate down the tube for a while. I don't see. I don't like to talk about politics because you'll always be proved wrong or right, and you have no real power apart from the vote and just being good. One person to another. People should be more nice.
Do you do? Have you ever done like political cartoons, like
sort of,
like political pieces?
Yeah, sort of.
I haven't seen much of yours like doing that.
Yeah, sort of. Like I did stuff for Bob Brown Foundation, but that's no one wants to see the forests fucked over or animals, homeless, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I like people doing good things. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
you did the poster for us, which we love.
Yeah. That was fun.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So we're going to be using that more and more. The bush buds, the legalise. It's a key part of our movement because just in terms of cannabis, there are very good but quite strong cannabis out there, and there is a movement to grow cannabis outdoor, bushweed, full spectrum, organic, sort of milder in some regards, but sort of different too.
Yeah, sure.
Cannabis, and that's part of our campaign, and so your work's been fantastic on that.
Yes. I mean, I
appreciate it.
Although I gave cannabis a bit of a bad rap just before, I do love cannabis. I think all the good times.
No, mate, you spoke honestly. That's exactly
that's like
it's
one of those things. It's one of those things. Too much of a good thing, and it is a good thing. It's wonderful. My parents' generation saw hippies as a bit of a blight on human going forward. What they saw as progressive wasn't what they thought was progressive. But given the chance, I think anyone would have a good time stoned as long as they got stoned with the right people and just the right amount.
The right amount. That's it. That's exactly right. Horses for courses, and that's what's happening right now. Like in the States, cannabis is huge, and in Australia, it's 50-year-old women who are having it for all kinds. Who are having edibles and having just a few drops in their tea and etc. and so forth. So it's become pretty sophisticated, but it is a good message, and but you can see that there's been some inspiration in your art, which is fantastic. Again, your show, Life Beyond Chicken Salt, Valentine's Day, Glebe, Glenno at Glenno Art. Check that out on Instagram, and everyone who's just flocking through the inner west, have a look out for Glenno's art. You'll see it; it's everywhere. The Duke, the Mosh Pit, everywhere. So fantastic, Glenn, to have you on. And I'll get you back again soon because I want to hear about the Sydney rock scene. It's really important, I think, that really comes alive because so many parts of our CBD are as dead as a tack.
Yeah.
We need some rock and roll.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, Sydney dropped the ball many years ago. It sort of saw the Olympics as its almost its finishing line. Everything just became business and sport.
Yeah.
I mean, when Melbourne starts laughing at you, you know you're in trouble. I mean, so much about Melbourne I can laugh about, but they're probably right. Sydney needs to lift its game a little bit, especially when it comes to art. I think that's why I did the Biennale festivals that I did, these group shows. I wanted to show that the DIY spirit of the early punk rockers is alive and well. You can do it. You just get a couple of mates together. It's what I've always sort of told people. Don't wait for things to happen. It's just do it yourself. Yeah.
Awesome, Glenn. Well, that is a fantastic sentiment, a note to finish up on, mate. Thank you very much for coming into the weeds. I hope it didn't hurt too much.
That was all right. It's hot outside, though. It's one of those 40-degree days in Sydney.
Yeah, we'll grab another beer. And everyone, again, check out Glenn's art. It's absolutely amazing. His portraits as well. Check it all out. Glenno Art. Thanks, mate. Thanks for coming into the weeds.
No worries, Jeremy. Thank you. That was great.
See you again.